Dylan came at us and said, will a rebuild year still be a valid excuse in the future of college football with the transfer portal being such a big deal now? From Oxford, Alabama. Dylan, it's a good question, and I think the answer is up in the air. And basically what Dylan's saying is once upon a time, not too long ago, like 5 years ago, it used to be that when your head coach was hired, it was understood we got to give him time. Then you have the Sonny Dykeses of the world doing what Sonny Dykes just did at TCU, and all of a sudden people look and say, were we wrong all this time? Because this dude who was at SMU just took the TCU job and played for a national championship in his first year. Am I reading that right? Am I hearing that right? Yes, you are. For that matter, Lincoln Riley in his first year at USC, the question was kind of about the transfer portal. Lincoln Riley ended up adding 7 wins onto USC's win total. In year one, they went 11-3, played for the Pac-12 championship. Who knows, if Caleb Williams stays healthy, how that game would have turned out. The point is, you're kind of kidding yourself if you don't think fan bases and other athletic directors around the country aren't watching that and keeping it in the back of their mind for down the road when they may have a new head coach. And that new head coach comes in and says, I need some time. You know what they do? In 2004, they say, you got it. In 2024, they're going to say, no, you don't get that. Number one, because we think since we pay you a whole lot of money, it reinvents the formula for success somehow. Just pop it in the microwave, pop it out 20 seconds later, give us what we want. And number two, Sonny Dykes did it, why can't you do it? Lincoln Riley did it, why can't you do it? Think that's not going to happen? I absolutely think it's going to happen. They may not say it out front. They may not say it at the press conference, but that's absolutely going to be the expectation. And it's not just an athletic director thing. I mentioned fans on purpose. I think that you're also kidding yourself. If you don't think when your new head coach walks in, maybe 2024, 25, maybe you got one this year. If you don't think that your own fan base, a portion of your own fan base, isn't going to look and say, remember what TCU did in year one? Remember what USC did in year one? What do they have that we don't? You're kidding yourself. That stuff matters, especially if those fans happen to be some of the ones with deeper pockets. You might know them as boosters or donors. It matters. So, Dylan, it's a big concern. I think it's why buyouts are not going anywhere. You know, a lot of folks look at the buyout structure in college football and they think it's crazy that some of these coaches get paid so much to get fired. But the caveat is you'd be out of your mind not to require that kind of buyout in exchange for the pressure cooker you're walking into. Think about Hugh Freeze right now. This is not the best example because he did not have much leverage with which to negotiate, but let's use Hugh Freeze anyway. Hugh Freeze takes the job at Auburn. These are some of the most impatient people on the planet, and I love them. I grew up right down there, 45 minutes away from Auburn, but they reside in the same state as Nick Saban in Alabama. They have to compete every year against Georgia. Their two biggest rivals are the top 2 programs in America right now. You think that doesn't put pressure on the head coach at Auburn? The expectations are still sky high, yet you've got to face, you're the only team in America, aside from Tennessee, that has to face those two every year. Then you got Brian Kelly and LSU, just for good measure. There are some schedule projections, by the way, which we'll talk about a little later, that suggest in the new SEC format, Auburn will play Bama, Georgia, LSU every year, which they already do, but in the future, everyone else is going to get their schedule calibrated to where their 3 permanent rival opponents consist of maybe 1 or 2 big boys and then a Missouri. No disrespect. Not Auburn. So yeah, Hugh Freeze is going to walk in there, and the reality, Shane Beamer's dealing with this, although he's overachieved, but Shane Beamer's got a heck of a tough job on his hands. But people, as much perspective as they claim to have in August, when they get to December, all they see is your win-loss record. They don't care about your strength of schedule. They don't care about how banged up you were. They don't care about any of that. They just, the logic gets sucked out of the room, and it's all about result with no context whatsoever. And if you only win 7 games and the other guy won 9, that's why you got to buy out the size that a lot of these guys buyouts are.
Guys, thanks for watching Late Kick. Make sure to leave a comment. I love interacting with you. But most of all, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep all of this free.